Ready to go. So welcome everybody to our expert forum for the month of September. First, I'd like to thank our sponsors, Vantage Builders, Sage Environmental, Centerville Bank, and Alpha Contractors. My name is Michael Sacosio. I'm your 2023, 2024 president of Rhode Island Commercial and Appraisal Board. And I'm proud to introduce from Stonelink Properties, Steve Stasiuk, who will start our presentation. Steve, maybe you can give us a little background on what you do, your company, and where you're located.
Yeah, sure. Thanks, Mike.
Welcome.
First off, thanks to everybody for having me here today. My name is Steve Stasiuk, and I'm with Stonelink Property Management. Stonelink Property Management is a residential, largely residential property management group for investors. We currently, I joined originally as a director of operations in 2018, overseeing all of the different departments. We had about 350 doors when we started, or when I started in 2018. We've been around since 2016. Over this amount of time, we've grown. There's been a demand for full service property management on the residential side because people don't like doing property management. So since 2018, we've gone from 350 doors to just under about 1,700. Our portfolios are managed throughout Rhode Island, largely in the big triangle of Pawtucket, Woonsocket, and Providence, but we go all the way down to Newport. We've got North Kingstown, places like that. Everywhere that's within about 45, 50 minutes of our office is located here in Rumford, Rhode Island. As a full service, vertically integrated property management company, we try to do as much as we can in-house. And so the way that we manage our properties, we have about a third of the properties to about half of the properties are somehow internally held, whether as partial ownership by our owners or their own portfolios. And then the remaining is about 200 to 225 individual clients that we manage, portfolios ranging from one door all the way on up to, several hundred. Like I said, largely residential, and that seems to be our wheelhouse. We've stayed largely away from commercial, at least the bigger commercial, some mixed use, but a lot of the residential side of things. What I'm going to talk about today is a little bit about some of the successes that we've had, what we do, what people look for in property management. I understand the organization. I actually met Mike Sacosio when we were touring a property for a client that he was looking at a multifamily on and walking through that. And I'll kind of share some of the successes that we've seen and how we achieve those, but more so what's going on in the market and what I see as being in the future for the market, because I think that there's going to be a lot of interesting changes that are coming up due to legislation and the overall environment. Everybody knows this thing's been a roller coaster, and I think that we're just about at the top of it. But before we do that, I'm going to say when the key to property management and pairing with property management is it is all about partnerships. Everybody knows that you can't succeed in a multifaceted world with if you're going to try to do everything yourself. Certain people just can't do certain things, or if they get too big, they need partners. We strive to be a good partner, and we strive for good partnerships, because if people aren't aligned with what we do and how we deliver our services, it doesn't work. And so the services that we do have, like I said, fully integrated. We have about 18 guys that do maintenance. After this, you'll start seeing our vans all over the place. They're Smurf blue, but Stonelink property maintenance vans are all over. We have our own landscaping company, and something that we didn't have before was we do have our own plumbing company now. I didn't have that when I was a director of operations. My life would have been a lot easier if we had our own plumbing company, because everybody knows plumbing's the big one. But having those partnerships in place is going to lead to people's success. with the people that are here, the commercial side of realtors and things like that, when you're dealing with clients, partnering them with the right people, you as partners, as realtors, are going to help your clients achieve good things. Finding the right partnerships is what's going to lead them to their success and pointing them in the right direction of things. Some of that comes down to helping them determine what's a good property. Something that's what we do with our clients, but understanding our clients is what we try to do. I think you'd find the same success is that if you have a partner and they succeed, they're going to come back to you and buy more real estate. That's a great level of success that you can achieve. So knowing what they have or what they have the stomach for, knowing what's going to happen at the property, doing analysis. If you've got an appraiser that's looking at a house, or rather an inspector, understanding what your costs are going to be up in the front. That's what we do with our clients as well when they're looking at investments. That way, there's no surprises, and that's one of the best things that you can do. Knowing what to look out for properties is key, as well as the physical factors of the property. I love it when people get inspections, but everybody knows that if you're a realtor, that you have to interpret what the inspection says. Sometimes for the client, you don't need a licensed contractor to replace a 2x8 tread of pressure treated lumber on a 3-step run leading from the back door down to the driveway. But interpreting that and being a partner for a client and helping them to understand what it is that they can do. We do that. I suggest, figuring out how to do that if you don't already do that. So when we do analysis too, it's not, it's not just the property itself. I mean, you can predict how much a water heater is going to cost, or you can look at a boiler and say that it's going to need to be replaced. Or if you happen to stumble onto a space heater like the dinosaur I saw yesterday in a property, you understand that down the road they might want to convert to, heat pumps or something like that. Those are some of the tangibles that are out there that you can sort of identify from those analysis or inspections. Understanding the tenancy and understanding rents and understanding the market, you get to paint that 6-month picture. And again, that's kind of doing that partnership thing, helping the people predict what's out in the future for them. Again, stuff that we do, stuff that I recommend doing. But I think that everybody here understands property management. I can go into it, or I can answer questions about, the
Steve,
level of
I
services
have a
that we.
question for you.
Yeah, shoot.
So, one of the, items I really liked about one of your services is the software you use, to analyze the property. It was pretty detailed, did some what-if scenarios. Maybe you could share with our audience, what that's all about, and
Sure.
is that a name for that
We've actually,
software? What is it called?
yeah, the one that we used, we no longer actually use that, but it was called
Okay.
RICABOR. And the reason why we kind of stopped using it is because we found that some of the analysis that they were doing was a little too, it was good, but we have a simpler fashion for it. And if anybody ever wants the spreadsheet, it's actually, I can share it with Jack. It's a simple Excel spreadsheet, but it allows everybody to plug those numbers in themselves. It's an
Right.
easy platform to use, but Mike, it's a great way, you're right, to predict what the property is going to look like, whether it's going to cash
So
flow.
in essence, it's a detailed pro forma, or just another way of doing it. It's an Excel document. You can put your numbers in.
Yep, and it's all of the what's it called? All of the
The data.
formulas are already in there.
Okay.
So it gives you that pro forma, and you could take a look at what the property is going to look like, in a very current state. And then when you want to start doing predictive analysis out in the future, you start looking at what those annual rent increases will look like, what it's going to look like in a separate year, and so on and so forth. It's a great way to get a snapshot. Obviously, it's not going to capture anything, because if there's one thing I've learned in property management, there's nothing in this industry is constant, or predictable. It's the ability to respond to it, but this gives you a good baseline.
Steve, what do
So
you think the rents are going to be? I mean, I've seen some data that's saying we're getting to a plateau, nationwide on the rents. Is that happening in Rhode Island? Are you going to start to see a
no,
little pushback? What are your predictions?
I don't think I don't think rents are going to flatten around here because nobody's building anything.
Right.
The demand is going to keep going up. It's unfortunate because we also have one of the highest rent to income ratios that's out there,
I saw that,
which
yeah.
makes it difficult for our residents, but it also makes residents a lot stickier. They stay longer. We have longer tenancy. And so I think that's a pretty consistent thing. You look at a lot of the reporting, if you guys ever get onto Bigger Pockets or any of those similar websites where they talk about where the rents are going and what's going on and tenant retention and, tactics for doing that, you'll notice that every single article is talking about, well, this is what's going on in Ohio, this is what's going on in Austin, this is what's going on in all of these places. And then they say that people are losing rents, the rent increases are plateauing or flattening. And then you'll see that somewhere in that article, it'll say, this is not boding well for the realtor or the property owner, except for New England. And we seem to be kind of insulated from that. I think that's largely due to the lack of inventory, and we still, there's the demand is outpacing supply. So I don't see that real plateau that's going on. I think you're going to still see somewhere between a 5 to 7% annual increase on rents, and you're not going to be losing tenants at that.
Stevie, you managing any of the larger, newer buildings in downtown?
No, the
What's
most of our wheelhouse, we do a lot of the medium density
right?
residential. So you're looking at, I mean, right down the middle of our fairway is a 3-family walk up in Pawtucket. That probably is, if we were to say what are the majority of the multifamily homes that we have are those. We don't do any of the big high rises or anything like that. The bigger properties that we've had and manage, a couple of 40-door kind of apartment complexes and that sort of thing. But there's not a lot of that out there. And we found the smaller investors make up a lot of our investment portfolios.
One of the items that we talked about is your company, and you can coach people to get some value added. What's the best return, and how to handle that. So
Right. Because we take we don't, we look at a big picture look. A lot of people, when they get a property, they're like, all right, well, I'm going to get rid of everybody and get everybody up to market rent. And you're shooting yourself in the foot a little bit because there are a lot of costs that go there. We consider ourselves more of an investment advisory group when we're looking at building a strategy around rents, building a strategy around how you're going to take a troubled property and make it right. So getting a perfect example is this: is say that you get a 6-family. Our standard operating procedure is standardize, optimize, perform. So figure out what's going on at the property, figure out who the tenants are, and then take a look at the rents and then optimize. If you've got 2 people that aren't good tenants, you got 2 people that are okay tenants, and then you got 2 people that are great tenants, piecemeal it. Take a look at the 2 bad ones and figure out how bad are they? Do you still want them in there? Do you want to turn a property over? How far under market are they? When you're going to raise something to market, does it make sense necessarily to say, okay, you're paying $1,000, now you're at 1,500, market's at 1,500. Somebody that's going to, be subject to a 50% rent increase, even if it is at market, they're going to leave, and you're going to lose out, and you're going to miss out on that tenant for that amount of money. And then you're going to lose 1 month's worth of rent. You're going to lose turnover costs. And if you're using a real estate agent or our service, you're going to have to pay a leasing fee. So you could be out around somewhere around, call it 3 months worth of rent, because you jacked somebody's rent all the way up. How about instead of going to 1,500, go to 1,250? You retain the tenant, you retain the income, you don't have to pay all of those costs. And the tenant, when they get their 25% increase in rent, they're not really happy about it, but then they go out and they look at the market and see that everything's $1,500 and they don't have to move their couch. Then suddenly they say thank you instead of the other you that they gave you when you gave them the rent increase. So
can you comment on pricing? What are you seeing per door? You know,
Yeah.
a guideline in high,
That's a good question. It's been bananas. I've seen, I mean, if I don't see 150 a door, it seems like right around now, I'm seeing 150, 160. Obviously, you know, that question's a little loaded only because
right,
that's kind of like asking, hey, how much does a car cost?
yeah,
But I'll say that we're seeing about 150 a door ish. But I've seen 550 for a busted up 3-family that was going to need about $100,000 worth of work. Was it going to be a good property at 650? Sure, you know, but it was still off of Elmwood. You know, it wasn't in a great neighborhood. So finding the deals, it's tough. They go quick, and being nimble and having, you know, one of those partnerships that you want if you're buying anything or looking at anything is being nimble and being able to drop money quick.
goes back to that fine famous guideline. What's the three most important things in real estate? Location, location, location.
Yeah, well, that's going to change a little bit here because when we're
Okay,
seeing, I mean, look, the good news is market rates are coming, or insurance rate, or I'm sorry, the rates are coming down. We're going to start seeing things come down. The Fed's supposed to lower things coming up. We're going to see cheaper money, which is one good thing. The problems that I'm seeing, and this is where I'm seeing in the marketplace right now in the Rhode Island, because this is based on a lot of things that our clients are facing. We are seeing some people that are more attracted to the idea of selling now. Um, and the things that are driving those up are insurance and some of the recently passed legislation. I don't know if anybody's ever reevaluated their insurance, but when somebody buys a place, the insurance is through the roof. Um, if they, you know, insurers are looking for reasons to cancel. That's been my biggest headache, is dealing
yep,
with insurance, um, and it's expensive. So people are getting canceled. They're doing inspections at renewals now, trying to get that right insurance sweet spot. It's causing people to see their bottom line being affected. The other one, and this is the big one right now. I'm not sure how many people. I'm surprised that not as many people are as versed as they need to be in the new lead laws. And that's something that I want to talk about. There's, if you guys look in the chat, I suggest you copy the link to our blog as well as a video that we put together.
we
If
might
you don't
suggest they
know
open that
anything,
because that's live.
yeah, yeah. Well, yeah, in the chat, if you copy it and paste it, I would say take a look at those, or open the windows up and take a look at them later on. Um, the big thing that we are doing is for our existing clients is, and we've been doing this since June of 2023. The biggest thing that we're doing is that we are bringing a lot of properties up to code or lead certification. A lot of people didn't do that. The lead laws that have been on the books since 2005, we're not really forcibly policed or required. 2020 came around, COVID hit, and they said we're not going to do lead inspections because exposing people to other people is worse than lead in this moment. A bunch of kids got sick. There were a couple of high-profile cases, and then there were a couple of high-profile cases of bad practice from landlords. And some people told the AG to pound sand, which, by the way, is a bad tactic. And they turned around and they said, "Okay, we're going to put some teeth on this by way of legislation in 2023 to enforce the lead laws, which are federal laws." And like I said, to go back to 2005. In 2023, in June of 2023, they passed the establishment of a rental registry, which just went online on September 1st, September 3rd. It's still really buggy. but there is an online, okay. If you can't see anything, try scrolling up, Steven, to see if it's there. And if not, then we could share it again in a minute. If in 2023, they passed this law, and on September 1st of 2024, everybody with a rental property is supposed to register with the state. If you own a 2-family, 3-family, if you own a 1-door and it's a rental property, you should be registering it with the state. By registering it, if you don't do that, you could incur a $50 a month fine per door. So if you got a 3-family and you don't register it, it's going to cost you $150 a month. Then on top of that, if you don't register it, it means that you probably haven't submitted your lead certificates. And so on October 1st, everybody has to register and fill in their lead certificates. And the lead certificates, if you don't have a lead certificate, you will, oh, there you go. Thank you, Jack. If you do not have the lead certificate, starting on October 1st, you are looking at $125 a door a month. I didn't have confidence that Rhode Island was going to get this registry up online because they only got funding for it in like early August. But if I had bet against it, I would have lost. They got it up and running. It's buggy. It doesn't work great. It's still super clunky. So I'm sure there's going to be a little bit of wiggle room there. But they're pretty serious about this. And lead mitigation, we're finding, is not inexpensive. Take a look at the video, the YouTube video that we have there. We've got Sharon Barr. She's from Lead Safe, Rhode Island. She's awesome. A great partner to have in getting lead certificates. She's the one that we've partnered with to get our 1,700 doors up to speed. But watch the video if you're concerned about this, because that's going to outline everything that's going on.
Is there still a shortage of lead inspectors?
Oh yeah, of course. Yeah. And there's like 26 or 27 in the state. And I think that they're, I don't know what, maybe 15, maybe 20% of the way through the state. So yeah. And the lead laws, wait until you see what you have to do. You're talking about exterior, any peeling paint, any cracked paint, anything where on the foundation, cracks on the foundation, you're gonna see a lead. They're not even going to pass you. They're going to see it. That's a visual test. They're not doing a lead check on the paint outside. They're going to see if it's cracked or damaged or dinged, and that's going to fail. You get into the houses, they're going to do lead swabs. You got a ding in your wall, like on that back staircase going upstairs. You got a ding in the wall. That's you could be exposing somebody to lead underneath that paint. The staircases, you need rubber treads on all of this, on all of the stairs, because those are friction points. Old wooden doors, if they stick, those are friction points. These are all the kinds of things. Wooden windows, forget it. Wooden windows with the pulleys, those are fails. We're looking at historic district houses, and we're looking at keeping the windows by stripping all the paint and just keeping them wood. And that's the most economical solution that we're trying for some of our clients, because anything that's, if it's exposed wood, then they know that it isn't lead paint. But anything other than that could be lead under there, and if it's a friction point, it's a fail. So the reason why I'm bringing this up is because this is going to get expensive. And here's the new rule too. If you have a tenant and the tenant stops paying rent as soon as October 1st rolls around, you can't even file for eviction for non-payment of rent unless you can produce a lead certificate. So somebody stops paying rent, there's a workaround. It's not a really good one, but there's a workaround where you don't take them to court. You turn around and you terminate tenancy for possession, which, by the way, in order to do that, say on September 1st, they don't pay rent. You try to go the tenancy for termination for possession. You can't give them that notice until October 1st. And then if they refuse to leave on November 1st, you're looking at a 20-day grace period until you're going to get your court date. So getting the lead certs. Now, if you go to evict for non-payment of rent and you have a lead cert, or you don't have a lead cert, the tenant is supposed to put their money in escrow, their rents in escrow, into an escrow account, but I'm not sure how that's going to be enforced. And if they don't do it, then you have to file for termination of tenancy for being in violation of their lease, which is just going to drag the process out. And by the way, speaking from experience, somebody stops paying rent or you go that route and they don't want to pay you, you're never going to see a nickel of it. So do yourself a favor if you've got investment properties, or if you're advising somebody with investment properties on pre-1978 built houses, get your lead certs. Don't play around with it because it's going to get expensive. And we're right now, like I said, we are trying to mitigate as much of that for our clients as possible. We've got 8 guys that are running around painting, patching, doing all of the things to try to get those lead certificates taken care of. But we're seeing, low to mid 5-figure mitigation efforts on some of these older houses. If you've got an old paint job on the outside, I mean, and it's not a historic building, wrap it in vinyl, and that's one of the fastest and best ways to do it, so you don't have to worry about it. If you have an old house and you know that it's been gutted and gone through, you can go from lead safe to lead free. It's a more expensive test, but it's a one-off. Lead free is a Massachusetts thing, but you can accomplish it in Rhode Island. If you have a down to the sticks gut, and you're fixing an entire house like that, I would suggest, if you've got with a high degree of confidence that there's no lead in there, go for the lead-free cert. But just get it done one way or the other. And finding the right partners, the right painters, the right people that understand how to do that is gonna lead to yours and your client's success.
There's gonna be a lot of problems with some uninformed landlords coming down the pike.
Oh, Mike, you don't even
landlords.
know. We've been informing our partner clients since the day on this, and we've been telling them about this, and even with our efforts, I mean, we try to stay out. We live in a reactive industry. Property management's reactive. Anything that we can get out in front of, we try to do. We've been trying to get out in front of it, and a lot of our clients even have been somewhat in denial. And I've gone to a number of realtor meetings, and the people that are in that meeting are like, wait, what do you mean? And it's like, this has been going on for 15 months now. How is this new to you? How can you not be informed about this? So we're seeing a lot of people running around with their hair on fire. So this is where we get to the good news. I think you're going to see people start selling. I think that you're going to see multifamilies around here. People are going to start selling them. I think you're going to start seeing some things be on the market a little bit longer, because the right realtor that's out there is going to know about the lead laws, and the right buyer's representative is going to leverage that in the sales process for their buyers. On the selling side, I think that you're going to see some people that, if they decide to sell, they're going to either have to drop their prices a little bit, because somebody that's an informed buyer should know, no lead cert, that's like we're talking a $50,000-$60,000, mitigation if you have to do a full wrap on a 3-family plus. So I think that you're going to start seeing some more opportunities in the market. It'll be nice to see more than 150 multifamilies at any given time listed on MLS in Rhode Island. But I think that it's because that the market and what we're seeing that's going on out there is going to have people throwing their hands up. So I think you're going to start seeing opportunity. It's just how you position yourself and have the solutions that are in place and those partnerships that are in place, so that when you do make a purchase or advise somebody on a purchase, having access to money to do that, or working on concessions with the sellers, or leveraging it with the buyer side to drop prices, and work like that to make sure that, the value of a house that needs $60,000, it used to be a roof, now it's lead. So
Steve, have you heard about any grants, Rhode Island Housing, Local Housing Authority, or any
yeah,
assistance for these, for landlords, especially the low to moderate income landlord? If that
it's
exists, the politicians don't think that exists,
they do, but on a city by city case,
right?
and that money dries up quickly.
Right.
And so Pawtucket, I don't think does. Woonsocket does. Providence, I think does. There's there's some things that are available that are out there. They're hard to get. You have to negotiate or navigate the bureaucracy on it. Does it exist? It does, but I don't see that as a big solution. And again, it's a city by city thing.
Mhm. And also, I think that a number of our members, I mean, I had a conversation with somebody the other day. Um, and there was some quirks in the registry that, like you spoke out earlier, where they had, two properties and tried to put them in with the same email address, and, the bureaucracy, wouldn't allow them. And I also heard, and maybe this has changed, that application is not, that registry is not mobile friendly. So any
Yeah,
updates on
I
that?
mean, they slapped this thing together with chewing gum and pipe dreams. I don't think the person that put this together had any idea of how to set up a registry where in this environment, probably knew nothing about housing.
Mhm.
Um, One of the other things that we saw was, if you didn't have the lead certs, you couldn't register the property. So you couldn't do what you needed to do for September if you didn't have what you needed to do for October set up. So I think that this is a ship that the state of Rhode Island is building at sea. So I think that I think that the advantage for us on that one is that there's going to be a grace period, or at least a sort of a period of understanding where you could play dumb a little bit, but it's not something that we're doing just because it's gonna happen. And if the state of Rhode Island gets that inclination that they could chase down this money or retroactively apply fines to people, or whatever the case may be, we're just trying to position our clients as best as we can to get this handled.
So if I get a lead inspection and I fail, can I still register with some type of remediation plan? Well, how is that gonna play out?
I think that what you can do is that I believe, and I haven't done as much of a deep dive on this one, but I believe that there's a place where you can say that you are actively working to do that. Again, I don't think that they're policing. So if you registered the property and then said, I believe that you could say that I'm actively working on a lead certificate, or say that you have the lead certificate but actively working on it. There's a note section. Provide detailed notes and
Mhm.
say I had, and don't lie. Don't say I'm trying to do this but I can't. Um, One of the things that you can do, I know, is that if you can't get your paint done, your exterior paint by November 1st, you can't paint between November 1st and like April, whatever. You can't paint exteriors. So if that's what you're trying to do, there's a variance that you can apply for there. That will say that, but you still have to get your inside lead certificates managed. Um, the judge, like I said, is that they're not enforcing it in the courts just yet, but the legal aides that are there to provide legal assistance for people, the table that's outside where they're like, here, do this. And we actually had somebody go to our attorney in court just today and say, hey, you can't do this without a lead cert. And he goes, that's not being enforced till October 1st. So we're still going ahead with our non-payment of rent for somebody. But it's coming.
Do we have any questions from the group in the chat?
I'm not trying to scare anybody.
No, but I mean,
But I'll,
it's a
I'll, I'll say
realistic.
this is that every single one of these meetings, the people, there are a lot of people that are very nervous. Um, there are great organizations, great companies that are out there. If you have multifamily properties, start getting on your phone with them soon. If you have clients, share these videos with them, share the blog on how to sign up for this, because we put a lot of effort into these, because we're trying to educate people, especially our clients. And you know, we can lead the horse to water, but we've definitely put some effort in that to try to make it easier. And if it makes it easier for your clients, then all the better.
Now, one of the things I'd ask for you to do is, you spoke about the pro forma, so let's get that to Jack, if you
Yep.
don't mind sharing that, and we can
Nope.
get that out to our membership. I think that would be a big plus for it. I don't see any other questions from the chat. Everything else you'd
My
like to add?
information is out there too. If anybody ever wants to talk anything on the property management side, if if you have a question about something, let me just make myself be available as a resource to the group. I lived and breathed this from the operations side. I'm now the business development manager, and so that I'll consider it networking, and you can consider it free information.
If anybody's out there networking at any Realtor events, you're gonna see Steve out there crushing the flesh. All right, Steve, I can't think of anything else other than a big thank you for you for doing our presentation. We're getting some good feedback in the chat about how informative it is. I know I'm gonna, my next appointment is to list a two-family that I know that gentleman is not lead compliant. And he said,
Right.
oh, I gotta do a few things before we list it. Well, those few things may be a lot more items. No,
It can be, I've had lead stuff come up, and it can get really expensive, because it's tough, you know. Paint, when I look at a house now, the first thing that I look at is when I get to the house and I see that it's vinyl wrapped or has aluminum around it and everything like that, then I breathe a lot easier.
right.
Wrapping houses is not cheap.
No. And wooden windows are still out there, and that's another, it's another red herring.
Yeah. Yeah, that video, Sharon Barr, a big shout out to her. There are a couple of other lead inspectors that are out there, but she really is top notch, and she's got a
What
good
company
team.
does she run?
It's let me just double check. She is Lead Safe Inspections and Consulting, Inc.
Right. And there's a list of lead inspectors on the Department of Health. Is that where our audience can find that?
I would just Google lead inspectors.
Right.
Just because I think that Google's how everybody finds everything,
Right. Right. Okay, good.
And that's her name. Sorry, it seems like I'm shouting, but I just cut and paste that from another presentation.
Here it is. You just posted it in the chat, so it's yeah.
Yeah.
So again,
And
Steve,
I'll get, like I said, I'll get that other stuff over to Jack, but I think Jack's got all of my information, all my contact information available to anybody. Like I said, did anybody get that yet?
It just was posted in the chat, Steve.
Oh, good.
Yep.
No, Candace, just go online and you'll be able to find her with Lead Safe and Inspections.
Yeah, Lead Safe Inspections and Consulting, Inc. All right, Steve, I know people's time is precious. I don't want to keep you much longer. Thank you again, and thank you everybody for your participation this evening. All right,
yeah, I appreciate the opportunity to meet y'all today.
All right, see you guys, gals.
Take care.
Thank you, Steve.
Thank you.